to the Playful Lens podcast, where we bring you the science, the soul and the spark of play. I'm Helena.
And I'm Gillian.
And from classrooms to coffee tables, we'll uncover why play matters more than ever through conversations with experts, educators and playful thinkers.
We hope these conversations will spark curiosity, joy and a little extra play in your day. Remember that play isn't just for children. It's a superpower that we can all tap into, so keep exploring and keep imagining.
You are so welcome to our very first episode of the Playful Lens. And in this episode, we will be chatting to each other to talk about our play journeys and our why behind this podcast. So, Gillian, what is your why behind the Playful Lens?
So my why behind the Playful Lens podcast is to share information and to dispel the many myths around play and playful learning, and for children of all ages. So for me, that's a big factor, that play is for children of all ages. So I want to dispel those myths and share the very interesting and evidence-based information that's out there. And as a teacher, I also want to help other educators to ensure that they have a safe space for learning, an engaging space for learning, and to help children fulfill their potential in their learning and to be successful in their learning. And to do that, we do that through playful learning. So that's my why for the podcast. What about you, Helena?
So for me, it's, I suppose, as a mental health professional, play, and when I talk about play, it's the child at play. That's what I really love. That is so vital for children's mental health and their well-being. So when we're talking about well-being in schools, that has to be a starting point. We need to start valuing child at play. And I suppose for me, the why is to share the knowledge and information with teachers, parents, principals, because there's often miscommunication where teachers are afraid of what parents will think, or maybe the principal isn't very supportive, and we want to bring the evidence to you so that you can stand over your work if you are facilitating play and playful learning. We want this space to be supportive. We want to hear from you so that we can support you in your play journeys. And I also think we don't know in the future what skills and knowledge our children will need, but they will need to be creative and innovative. And that's how we nurture creativity. Play and creativity go hand in hand. So for me, this podcast is going to give us a lens to view play through where we can value it and see the immense value of it.
Yeah, I agree. And you said something really interesting there. So we will have a huge variety of guests and expert speakers on, but we also want to hear from practicing teachers, from educators, from parents, from school leaders. So this is your space as well as our space. So we do want to hear from people as well if you've got questions, if you've got queries. And hopefully we will be able to help, and hopefully our experts will be able to help.
So as we're talking about play journeys, Gillian, would you like to tell us a little bit about your play journey?
Well, my play journey, so I graduated in 2010, and I think my play journey really started in 2012. I'm in a very big school and we have 3 streams of each. So at the time we had 3 streams of junior infants and 3 streams of senior infants. And our principal was very invested in playful learning and the Asher methodology of learning. So she sent all 6 of us infant teachers, she sent us on the Asher course, and then it was our job to bring that back into the school. And when I did the Asher course and then kind of commenced the teaching using that, I just realised this is me, this is how I teach, this is the teacher I am, this is teaching and learning. So for me, that was such an awakening for me professionally, and probably personally as well. I realised that this is not work for me. This is how I teach. This is how I am, and it was hugely valuable when I was teaching in senior infants. And then I moved to second class. So in our school, it was our kind of policy that we did Ashter in junior infants, senior infants and first class. But then I moved to second class and I brought that playful learning with me. So I wasn't necessarily doing that structured hour of play that we had been doing in the infant classes, but I was doing playful learning, playful methodologies, playful pedagogies. Looking back now, I didn't realise what I was doing. It just felt natural to me, and it felt like, yes, this is the way I teach, this is the way my classroom is, this is the way the children learn, this is how I engage with the children and build those relationships. So I was in second class for 4 years and I just loved it. And then after that I moved to sixth class and I brought those playful pedagogies with me and I came into my own. I came into my own in sixth class. I just adored bringing playful learning into a senior class. I just loved it. It absolutely consolidated everything I believe in for teaching and everything I believe in. And I just realised the absolute value of it and the power of play. I obviously saw it with the younger children and with my middle class and second. I just saw it hugely in sixth class. The relationships, the connection, the well-being, as you mentioned, my well-being. And I found that behaviours in the class, I wasn't dealing with behaviour. I obviously was dealing with behaviour issues, but not kind of to the extent. I was really nervous going into sixth class. I was terrified. And it just all melted away when we started playful learning. And that sounds really idealistic. Of course there were bad days. Of course there were behaviour issues. But for me, that's what teaching is for me. And I kind of always use this story that I had a gorgeous young man in my sixth class, but he struggled massively to access the curriculum. And he would struggle with the traditional methods of teaching, the chalk and talk, the read the text, answer the questions at the end. He massively struggled. So, of course, he engaged in behaviours. As we know, behaviour is communication, and he was communicating, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. But I'm also not losing face in front of my pals. Mm-hmm. So when we started our projects and our active learning and model making, he just flourished.
Yeah.
He found skills that he didn't know he had. He found interests that he didn't know he had. He made these unbelievable models. But what really kind of, I think, made him so successful and so invested then in his own learning. Like, he would be your typical, I hate school, I'm not doing that, and this is, boring. And he found these skills because when he brought in a model, the others in the class started going, oh my gosh, that's so cool. How did you do that? Yeah. And he became the one teaching the others, which he had never had before. He was never the successful student. He was never the student that the others looked up to or asked questions of. And he became that because I allowed him to access learning in a way that he hadn't accessed it before, and to reproduce his learning in a way that he hadn't done before.
Gillian, that's amazing.
And it's stuck with me, and I think it'll be my thing forever in teaching.
Yeah.
That is why I believe so firmly in the power of play. I had amazing children in my 4 years of sixth class, amazing creations, amazing playful learning experiences, and children of all abilities flourishing and doing so well. But he is my why for playful learning.
Yeah.
And it was that I remember one day somebody is, oh my God, that's so cool, how did you do it? Will you show me how? And he grew 10 feet tall. Mm-hmm. You could see him grow 10 feet tall, but his engagement in his learning, his interest then, Miss Corbally, can I tell you something? And I was looking up on the internet and I found out that whatever we were learning about, he had something to add because he was now interested.
Yeah. But it's so genuine.
It is so
authentic,
genuine.
Isn't it? It wasn't kids. It wasn't something that you had to stage.
Yeah.
It was, and then he really felt it.
He did.
It was real. It was genuine. Wow, how did you do that?
Absolutely. And I think then for him in the classroom, when we were doing activities in the classroom, his role changed. So instead of becoming, oh, I don't want him in our group because he won't do anything, he became the one that the kids, and that's what he then, internalized. Nobody wants me in their group, so I just sit here and throw my pencil across the classroom and engage in that silliness.
Yeah.
But then he became, here, you're really good at making the models. What could we do for this? Or how could we do this STEM challenge? How can we... And he had a role then in those groups. And like you say, it was genuine. So I think for me, I knew from the minute I engaged in Ashton, this is how I teach. But it was when I went to 6th class. And I think for me, playful learning and play for me, I want to bring it to senior classes, to middle classes. And that is my why for play for me. So that's my play journey and my why for playfulness and playful learning.
And you do, because it's really hard to get into it now, but I know you do webinars with the education centres talking about that. So it's an easier way to teach when you have the idea, because the children will engage a whole lot more when it's playful. Yeah,
and I think, we have to get that across. The children aren't learning for me. They're not learning for Miss Gorbally. They're not learning for their grown-ups at home. They're learning for themselves, and we have to engage them in a way that they learn to their potential. And as you said, we don't know what skills they're going to need. They are probably going to be doing jobs that aren't around. You often hear that said. So we need to give them those skills. And it's not just academic. We need to give them those social skills, those, collaboration, the creativity. We need to allow children to explore their skills. So by me saying, you can give me a project in whatever way you want, allowed that gentleman to produce a model. It allowed him then to create a digital project. And the children doing that, they learn from each other as well then, So there's just so much scope for different kinds of learning. Yes, I have my learning outcomes in the classroom. However, the learning that they get from each other is so vital and so important. But it's the engagement and the motivation. Children won't learn if they're not engaged. So we have to engage them. And play is the way.
Love it.
So tell me about your play journey.
So my play journey is quite different to yours, Gillian. So I graduated in 2003, and when I started teaching, it was books and more books, and I was okay with that. I'll be honest. I wish I could say I was someone who wanted more active, but no, I was fine with my books. And taught all different classes, and I began in a new school, and I had infants, and I inherited 2 maths books, one maths book for school, one maths book for home, so we had very structured homework, and it was all fine. I was happy out, the parents were happy out, and I didn't really give much consideration to how the children were and what their enjoyment was. It was school, we've work to do, and we worked really hard, and they had really good standards of reading and writing very early on in junior infants. So that was the mark of a good teacher. And then Ashton came along, and I remember I had a fabulous principal who was really innovative and really open-minded, and she said, Helena, you love teaching infants, do you want to go to that? So I went along to the training, and I was really sceptical, like really reluctant, like play, and I was almost certain, well, standards now are going to drop in literacy and numeracy if we're letting children play. Like the curriculum's so full already, and we're supposed to be just letting them play. But it was best practice. It's what we were being advised to do, so I couldn't ignore that. So I gave it a go, and I started with the rota, and it was all very structured, and it was very much, you're playing with the Play-Doh, and this is what you're to do with it. You're making, we have a bakery, so you're making buns and cakes, and you're in this area and you're doing this. And the children loved it, and that caught my attention. And when break time was over, I remember one little fella going, yes, we're going back in. And that
yes,
had never
yeah.
happened before. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
Yes, yeah.
And so I suppose the more I dipped my toe into it and the more I could see the children were really enjoying it, the more I bought into it.
Yeah.
But at the start, I still, I suppose, was very concerned with, is this play linking up with the curriculum?
Yes, yeah.
And I had a writing table was like a play area, and I considered that really valuable because we'd be making posters and stuff, and I made sure that there was lots of literacy integrated, and I'd always be thinking, is this linking to the curriculum?
Yes, yeah.
So that it is worthwhile or purposeful or
Yeah.
valuable play.
Yeah.
It happened almost all the time. I would be so uncertain because on one hand it was child-led play, and on the other hand it had to link to a learning outcome.
Yes, yeah.
And I couldn't see it. And I remember once we went outside to play pirates because, you know, we're bringing play outside, that's what we're supposed to be doing, and we had a whole little area where we were using part of the playscape to be the pirate ship, and the girls were really good because they were, you know, I modelled it first of all and used the oral language, and the girls would use that language and yes, scallywag and walk the plank, and so I could see, okay, yes, they're doing their
Oral language tick.
Oral language tick. This is good play. And I remember two little boys running around the yard, totally engaged and totally immersed in what they were doing. I think one was a superhero and one was a villain. And I just remember feeling panicked that like, okay, this is child-led play, this is what they're doing. But also, they're running around the yard. They can do that at break time. This is teaching and learning class time. And I'm just facilitating them running around the yard, and that happened like so often with play. I was like, okay, this is child-led, but I can't see any value in it. So that led me to the Children's Therapy Centre.
Okay.
And there I learned so much more than I ever thought I would learn. The reason I started the course was I wanted to understand play more, and I could see there was a need. See social emotional needs in the class that I was like, I didn't learn this in college. And I just, you know, that training was phenomenal, and I had a whole new lens to view play through and realised, whoa, this is so much more than a curriculum. Like play is so fundamental to our existence as human beings, that we have a biological drive to play, that, you know, it is Mother Nature gave us this not by accident. It didn't remain with us through evolution. We have it because it's what fuels our connection, and it's what fuels our joy. I learned about sensory play and embodiment play, and I think in our classrooms they're a really, really unique setting. And there's so much talk now about safety and connection and connecting with children. And when you peel back the layers on what connection is, it's shared presence. That's what it is. And as a teacher, how often do I get to give a child my presence and my attention? Because I don't when I'm teaching literacy and numeracy. I'm too busy in my head. There's so much going on because there's so much to cover. And when children play, they're engaged. It gives me time to be with, to notice, to enjoy them. And when we delight in a child, they know they're delightful. They feel that. And like, I feel like play is a release valve in our education system at the moment, when, you know, we don't have the supports that we need. I feel like play, it's not going to fix everything, but it's going to go a long way in supporting our children, but supporting our teachers as well, because this is a time when I get to relax and I get to enjoy the children. When I was training with the Children's Therapy Centre, I was job sharing for a while, and I was up in 5th and 6th. So I introduced child-led play there, where on Friday afternoons we would just play, and they benefited enormously from that, and they loved that. But it's hard because you kind of feel like, oh my God, they're just sitting there playing with the Play-Doh. Wouldn't it be just so much more purposeful to do a project? And it's like, no, no, play
100%.
is massive. I want these children to value play. I want their parents to value play so that they can support themselves with all that is to come in secondary school, and they can navigate relationships because they've practiced it. Because when we play, we fall in and we fall out, and conflict is just normal. It's part of it, and we know how to make up. So when we take away play and that free play, we take away all of that. So I think in a classroom, it's such a unique opportunity, and if we're serious about relationships, if we are serious about well-being, we need to facilitate that child-led play. My journey went from somebody who was like, play, are you joking me, to the more I learned, the more I realised, no, I didn't have all the signs. I didn't have all the evidence. When I was dismissing play, it was just because I didn't understand play. And so then I was back in junior infants after I'd completed my training and fully facilitated that child-led play, and it was magic, Gillian. It was just amazing to see the relationships and to see their creativity, and for me to value them. Like, I remember one child who would colour a lot, and we're very safe when we colour because you can kind of keep an eye on everything. You don't have to engage with anyone. It's rhythmic, so it's regulating. Like, children are so wise, and you see it when they play. So I remember this child who was colouring a lot at the start, and I would just sit down and colour and just notice and just get to know them. And by the end of the year, that child was a wild unicorn in the class, jumping around the place, and others joining in being a wild unicorn. Like, the confidence that had taken, and to know, I'm so safe here. I can be myself, because we say this. You can tell a child you're safe, but they need to feel safe, and that's so unique, because what makes you feel safe might make me feel safe. So when I am giving them permission to play and be themselves in play, because what Gabor says, safety isn't the absence of threat; it's the presence of connection. When I'm giving them that connection and that felt sense of safety, it's just magic. Magic happens in the room. And for me as the teacher, that's why I feel so strongly about it. This is a win-win, and we have so few win-wins in our education system at the moment. This is a win where they're engaged and they're doing what they love, and I can actually just be with them and trust their learning and scaffold it as I go without taking it over, and it's magic, isn't it?
It is magic, and that is the word. It is magic, though. And I just want to make a point on something you said there. You said about regulating, and that play is a way that children can regulate. And I think that's what was happening for that young man in my class, was that he was being allowed time to regulate himself. And also the connections that you mentioned. He had a connection with me. He developed the connections with the others in the class that hadn't been there. And I think it was that combination of the relationships. And also his dad said to me at the parent-teacher meeting, we'd be out in the shed and we'd be making the project and we'd be making a model and we'd be chatting away. We haven't done that in ages. So the connections at home became very different as well, very positive. And it's that sense of safety, isn't it? And that's why he flourished so much. It wasn't what he was doing, it was how he was doing it. So it's that connection and that regulating.
That's what Dr. Theresa Kesley would say. That's why we have our biological drive to play. That's why Mother Nature gave us play, for the joy of social relationships, and you see it. You can. If you were to give other educators one piece of advice, what would you say to them? Listen to the Playful Lens.
Absolutely, that is a great piece of advice.
To support you in learning, because it's so hard to trust the play, and I would, like I say it all the time, trust the play, and I see it when I work now in my therapy room. I see that it's so incredibly powerful, but it's so hard to trust the play, because that traditional teacher voice is alive and well in my head. It's so easy to judge the play. So I would say dip your toe into play. So that just might be, okay, I'll start with board games on a Friday afternoon and give out some cards. Start slowly, because listening to children is such an important part of our new curriculum framework, giving children voice.
Yeah. And agency.
Yeah. When do we do that?
Yeah, we don't.
When do we?
don't.
I can say, I'll give you choose the topic of your project, but it's a project and I'm setting a lot of boundaries around that. That's limited agency.
Yeah.
To give you full agency over your learning, the only time I can actually properly facilitate that is when I let children play. Start dipping your toe and follow the children's lead. This is the one place we can say, okay, what other games would you like to introduce? What other types of play would you like to see here? And that's how you figure this out, because it's going to be unique for each class.
Yes,
because they'll all have different interests. And it's like, you don't need to do all this. You don't need to have all this figured out. You can figure this out together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely.
So, Gillian, what is your top tip?
My top tip, I think, is if you are in any way inclined to introduce play and playful learning into your class, is to absolutely go for it. You're always going to have somebody who's going to say, why are you doing that? I had so many people, in person, virtually, say to me, you can't play with 6th class. You can't do that with 6th class. Absolutely you can. So what's the worst that can happen? It can just go horribly wrong.
It could be a magnificent disaster. And you know what? You learn from it. And it's highly likely you're going to have a couple of disasters.
You're not going to blow up the school. Hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully we'll blow up the school. No, but what is the worst that can happen? Absolutely. Use it as a learning experience for yourself. So my advice would be, don't listen to the critics. Don't listen to somebody who says, you can't do that with 6th class. You absolutely can. And start small. My advice is absolutely start small. If you have a traditional classroom, a more formal classroom, just dip your toe in, as you say. Start small, but go for it. If you are listening to us, if you are looking at research, if you're looking at different things, and you think, I think I'd like to try that, go for it. Don't worry about what the teacher next door says. Don't worry about the parents who are going to come to you and say, why are they playing? What are they doing? Send them our way and we'll set them right.
It's in the curriculum. Child play.
It's in the curriculum. It is in the curriculum.
It's the curriculum.
But I think if you can stand over your decision to bring play into the classroom and have that professional dialogue, either with other educators, with parents, with
an
somebody,
inspector.
with an inspector, absolutely. If you're on placement and you think, I'm going to try this, be able to have that professional dialogue and be able to say, well, here are the benefits. And this is what I'm trying to achieve. So I think my advice is go for it. Bring the magic.
Yeah, bring the magic. Will we do the rapid fire questions?
We will. So this is something that we're going to do at the end of every episode. We are going to ask our guests 5 rapid fire questions. So we're going to do it together as well.
Okay. Jill, what was your favourite thing to play with as a child?
Okay, so this is very cliched, but my favourite thing to play with as a child was a blackboard.
Well, we're not surprised.
It is very cliched that I loved the blackboard, and here I am as a teacher. But yes, I remember I got a blackboard from Santa when, I'd say it was, 3, 4, 5. It was my favourite thing to play with. I just loved it. And yes, I did play school. That was my favourite thing. What was your favourite thing?
I had a little, it was a cubby. Now we call it a mud kitchen.
Oh, lovely.
I would just lose myself and I would be preparing for the visitors and,
I love that.
In my element. Yeah.
I love that. I love it.
Okay. If you had a stick to play with, what would it become?
It would be a giggle stick.
A giggle stick?
A giggle stick.
What's a giggle stick?
So when you point at somebody, they can't be serious. So if I point my giggle stick at you, you see, you're starting to laugh. You're starting to giggle. I have a giggle stick and it makes people stop the seriousness and bring out the silliness.
I love it.
What would your stick be?
My stick would probably be a microphone.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Karaoke or in-house?
No, TV presenter.
Oh.
I liked being Ray Darcy or Doreen
Okay.
Allen and Simply Delicious.
So you were born to be a podcast host.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. So, what is a playful habit that you never grew out of?
Probably being a bit silly.
Okay.
Yeah, probably being a bit silly, I think, as you can tell. Oh, my giggle stick and my mad glasses. But yeah, probably just being a bit silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your playful habit that you never grew out of?
This is a bit mean. I was thinking about this. So, I love hiding.
Okay.
And then when my husband doesn't expect it, I jump out.
I have done that.
And I get such kick out of it.
I have done that, but my problem is that I hid in the wardrobe one time. He came in from football and he went for a shower and I hid in the wardrobe, but actually started giggling so much. This is why I have a giggle stick. But started giggling so much that I actually nearly fell out of the wardrobe, and the boo lost its effect because it was more of a.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. I'd be shaking with laughter as I'm standing. But one night, I had went in to say goodnight to my girls, and I was standing in the room in the dark. So when he came in to say goodnight, he wasn't expecting this. Yeah, it took years off his life.
Okay, I will remember that.
Top tip.
If you leave the room, I'll be prepared.
Who nurtures or nurtured your playfulness?
So, who nurtured my playfulness was my parents, definitely. We had a very playful childhood. I do remember having my teddies and dollies lined up in the school, and my dad stepping over them to cook the dinner and things, and he was the principal. And yeah, you know, my mum always encouraged games and imaginative play. So definitely my parents always encouraged it and nurtured it. And now, who nurtures it are my two little boys. Yeah, it is my way of parenting as well. I think when we had the boys, it just became my natural way of parenting. So my boys nurture it now. What about you?
When I think back to when I was young, it was probably my granny, actually, because I grew up on a farm, so my parents would be really busy. They were just busy, so there wasn't as much playfulness, but I lived beside my granny, so and it was little things. If I was getting a sweet, like she'd say, go in there now and close your eyes.
Oh.
And the excitement of hearing her walking out to hear the tin, I can still hear it, and I'd be trying to guess what kind of sweet now am I getting today. It's so lovely. Or little things like racing around the house to go for dinner. Or that's one part of playfulness for me. It's like just the simple little things.
Yeah, I love it. That's so lovely, and such lovely memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
So nice.
And what is a small joy that you look forward to each day?
A small joy that I look forward to every day is that first mouthful of coffee every morning. In fairness, I have the most wonderful hubby, and I have never made myself a morning coffee since I've been with him. He makes me a morning coffee every morning, every single morning, and if I'm up before him, he comes racing down. Stop, you'll ruin my day, I have to make it. But that first mouthful of coffee in the morning, I do look forward to. You know, snuggles with my two boys too at the end of the day. Yeah. So I start my day with a coffee and I end it with snuggles with the two boys.
Oh yeah, that sounds lovely.
And the little arms around your neck. I love it. What about you?
Yeah, it's definitely spending time with my children. I love when I'm home in the evenings and we just have time.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere and we just have time to chill out and chat. Sometimes we play, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's just chat and pottering around and snuggles, and that's that's the joy.
That too.
I love it.
The joys in life, simple joys.
Simple. Oh yeah, keep it simple.
So that is us.
That is us.
That is our first episode, our play journeys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you enjoyed it. So we hope that you stay curious, that you stay playful. And don't forget to share this episode if you enjoyed it. And remember, like and subscribe if you'd like to hear some more.